Good morning. I'd like to call the Board of County Commissioners Budget Reconciliation Workshop to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Good morning, Miller.
Here.
Hagan.
Here.
Kemp.
Here.
Murman.
Here.
Overman.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
White.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Before I call on Ms. Wise, I'd like to call on County Attorney Ms. Christine Beck to give a clarification of the governor's executive order. Ms. Beck, you recognize.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chair Miller. This is Christine Beck, attorney. Just wanted to give you all an update. Late last night, the governor issued Executive Order 20-179, and this order extends the prior orders allowing virtual meetings, such as the one that we're having today, and they are extended until September 1 of 2020. And in essence, these orders take away the requirement of having a physical quorum. And Order 20-179 further explicitly clarified that any budget hearings by a taxing authority, such as Hillsborough County, to set millage rates, that they may be held virtually. And in addition, the virtual meetings are allowed for non-ad valorem tax assessments and for meetings of the Value Adjustment Board. So that was a very timely clarification that we received last night, and I'd be happy to address any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Ms. Beck. Appreciate that very much. Before we move, ask Ms. Wise to give her opening remarks concerning the budget workshop, I want to ask Ms. Wise to give an update on the tropical storm. Ms. Wise, you recognize.
Very good. Thank you, Chairman Miller and board members. And we also have emergency management staff available if you have any further questions. But I did want to update you on what is happening regarding the tropical storm Isaias. I think I pronounced that correctly. And as it relates to shelters, you have, as it relates to testing, which you may have heard, and just some of our future steps, if I could update you. And also, Chief Jones did send you an email regarding an executive brief on the updates regarding the storm as of this morning. We will get more information with the 11 o'clock update. So regarding the storm, we are of course tracking it. Our emergency management staff, amongst of course the all the work they are doing regarding the virus, are now of course preparing for storms and have been preparing for storms throughout this process. If the storm should track toward Hillsborough County, which is very uncertain at this point, we would be prepared to open a limited number of shelters only if a storm surge was prevalent, heavy rain, and if we needed to evacuate the low-lying areas. Because of the shelter distancing requirements and the CDC guidelines and mask wearing requirements, it would require us to open probably more shelters than we normally would. But once again, only and only if that would be required to be open. We also would have the quarantine and isolation site available for anybody that would need that for evacuation purposes. Regarding testing, and you may have heard this already, the state has shut down their testing sites after today. So those tests that are today are still going forward, and through next Tuesday, we believe. We will continue to monitor that. We have also shut down our testing sites to be consistent. Once again, tests for today will still be ongoing. And we were reaching out to all of those people who have tests scheduled for that time period, and we are working to get them rescheduled as soon as possible. So we'll continue to monitor that. Regarding testing in general, just want you to be aware, most of our testing is under tents and whatnot. And during a time period in March or April when the weather is good and we have limited rain, that works fine. But what emergency management staff is doing is to look at more sheltered test sites going forward. in parking garages or other sites that would provide more protection for the staff as well as for the people being tested. So that is going to be an ongoing. As we change any of those test sites or procedures, we'll of course update you. As a reminder, we are taking over some of the state testing sites anyway, starting August 1st. And so we will continue to communicate that transition to you as emergency management is diligently working on that operation. Do you have any questions for me or for Chief Jones or Tim Dudley?
Ms. Wise, I see no questions at this time, so thank you very much for that update. Really appreciate it very much. Since you have the floor, you want to give your opening remarks concerning the reconciliation workshop.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to thank you all for this workshop. This is our budget reconciliation workshop. We are going to provide you today with updates that have occurred since our budget presentation, which was actually just about 2 weeks ago. So, but there are a few things have occurred since that time. We will update you regarding that. The main purpose of today's workshop is to pass a motion regarding the millage. That is the critical item that is at the end of the year of your agenda today. And that allows us for the trim notices to be able to go out to the public in August. And it does identify the location of that budget, of those budget hearings. And as you heard from Ms. Beck earlier, some of that has been clarified in the governor's orders, so that's helpful. And Mr. Brickey will announce that at the end as well. So we're going to have Kevin go through the budget materials and provide a brief presentation and, like I said, provide some updates that have occurred since the last budget presentation that we had 2 weeks ago. And with that, I'll turn it over to Kevin.
Thank you, Ms. Wise.
You recognize, sir, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Wise. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Kevin Brickey, Management and Budget. I will share a brief presentation on the budget. Many of these slides are selected from what you saw 2 weeks ago, and there are a couple of updates, and I will point those out. So as we spoke at the budget delivery, the change in the total budget from FY20 to FY21 is $62 million, or about a 0.9% increase. This slide is identical to the one that you saw earlier, speaks about the main areas of service and such that the budget funds. Public safety, health, and our enterprise funds are the largest areas, and you can see the many other areas that we also serve. Reserves are at the bottom of that slide, about $1.6 billion. Our countywide general fund for FY21 is about $1 billion. It includes the sheriff at about $319 million. That's primarily for jail operations. Other constitutionals, $125 million. Human services are in the countywide fund, about $58 million. Maintenance of our facilities, $47 million. Economic development is about $30.5 million. Those are broad activities. The Economic Development Department in and of itself is about $11 to $12 million. The balance is other economic development initiatives. Our unincorporated fund is $569 million. Again, public safety is a very, very large area, $198 million for the fire rescue, sheriff, $158 million. And then we have other other unincorporated area funded activities such as code enforcement, development services, parks and such. Our revenue increases, we do have still strong growth in our ad valorem revenue that was set on January 1 of 2020. That's about 8.7%. But of course, because of the COVID impacts, we're having negative impacts on our sales tax revenues, and that disproportionately affects our unincorporated area general fund. And so while we had increases in our unincorporated area ad valorem revenue, we have decreases in sales tax revenue. So that's why you see the disparity on this slide between those two funds. This graph is the same as you saw about 2 weeks ago, looking at changes in countywide fund sources and uses, excuse me. We had about $49 million increase in ad valorem, other revenues about $14 million. And we'll talk about where some of that money is going in a moment. Unincorporated area general fund, again, our ad valorem increased, but our sales tax revenues are decreasing, about a $22 million increase in ad valorem and about a $20 million increase in sales tax related revenue. Looking at some budget additions in FY21, we again have our constitutional officer requests, body cameras, 66 new fire positions for 2 new stations, related increases from the fire union contract, our required upgrade of the enterprise resource planning system. We're looking to, as far as pay increases, that would be concentrated on increasing the minimum pay ranges of our positions to $15 an hour, replacement for facility for Head Start, a new South County Adult Daycare Center, and some others. One new one that may be presenting itself is for the clerk of the court. At a recent state revenue estimating conference, the clerk has become aware of a one-time budget shortfall due to a decline in court fines and fees revenues that's related to the COVID emergency. That impact is estimated to be about $3.7 million. The clerk is pursuing remedies through the governor's office and state legislature, but is doubtful that those will be successful. And so while they're currently evaluating options to absorb the impact, it is likely that the clerk will submit an additional funding request for board consideration before it adopts the budget in September. This is looking at the status of our $812 million 10-year transportation plan. Again, we are behind currently in that we have been looking at the fact that there are other needs, fire, public safety needs and such. Currently, the funding deficit is $110 million. We expect to continue to have that deficit and over that period, $423 million deficit. The board did suspend this plan for FY20, and we do need a suspension of the plan for FY21, or you may decide to abolish the plan altogether. Now we do are looking at some solutions to this funding deficit. In FY21, we've included a bond issuance, a planned bond issuance of $185 million that would commit about $10 million of recurring half-cent sales tax revenue for debt service, but that still would leave a remaining deficit in that plan of about $238 million. And just as a reminder, certainly we've talked about projections of the general funds for a number of years that we've pointed out that the countywide general fund is in good shape, and the unincorporated fund is the fund that's under stress as we look at demands from transportation, demands from other public safety, sheriff, fire rescue, and such, that in the longer term, we project deficits. And this is important, as Ms. Wise pointed out in the budget message and in her budget delivery, that we've included funding for a new strategic planning process where we would look at these issues for the unincorporated fund, but indeed throughout the whole budget and services in a holistic manner to set new priorities and look at dealing with these challenges. Looking at the budget calendar, of course, today we're doing the budget reconciliation workshop. Our public hearings are September 10th and September 17th. There was a hold for possible budget workshops. These are not scheduled right now, but they are held for August 12th at 9 a.m. and August 27th at 9 a.m. As in the past, we have a proposed flagging process where commissioners would identify an item for inclusion or exclusion from the budget. We would accumulate those items. The board certainly can discuss, and the board can vote on any particular flag. That could be today, could be at the first public hearing. Since the budget delivery, we have received the July 1 property appraiser estimates of taxable values. There was a small increase in those compared to what we had in the recommended budget, about $1 million increase in revenue. However, we still have great uncertainty regarding our sales tax revenues and where the COVID pandemic is heading. And so we have uncertainty as to when we'll recover on those sales tax revenues. And also we have that identified clerk revenue shortfall of about $3.7 million. And then I had finally, I just wanted to point out, and Ms. Beck and Ms. Wise have already referenced this. This is the motion to set trim millages. This motion is slightly revised from the one that was in your background package, and it's mainly a different website to accommodate clearly where the public can look for information on the first public hearing. We've clarified that website, and also some language that goes along with the governor's executive order that gives us the flexibility to have virtual public hearings, and gives us the flexibility to communicate that to the public. And with that, I am complete. I will unshare my screen, and I thank you very much, and I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Brickey. We're now moving to board discussion, the flagging process. Commissioner White, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask you and the county administrator if we can have a brief budget presentation that I'm about to request, if we can do it at one of the public hearings.
Yes, sir. I can handle that, Mr. Chairman. We can definitely give a presentation, a brief presentation again at the public hearings. Yes.
Okay, so that, I think I heard that there's an 8.7% increase in ad valorem revenues. What does that equate to in dollars?
Commissioner, that is approximately about $50 million countywide and about $23 million unincorporated.
So about 73 million total, roughly.
Yes, sir.
What I think would be a meaningful exercise would be to take just that $73 million, put all the rest of the budget aside. I'd like to see that 73 million broken down in terms of exactly what it's going towards, what it's funding in the current budget that's under consideration.
Yes, certainly
Can we do that at the
do
next,
that.
at the first public hearing?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And
great.
part of what that is funding is offsetting some of the decrease in the sales taxes.
That's fine.
So we will
that's,
show that.
that's
We will
fine.
show that.
I'd love, and with a small in the grand scheme of things, right? Relatively speaking, relative to the rest of our budget, 73 million is a pretty small number. So we should be able to break that down thoroughly and give the board a view of, okay, we have 73 million new dollars in terms of ad valorem revenues. What's happening to that 73 million exactly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Overman, you recognize.
Yes, thank you. Can, Mr. Brickey, on the slide 7, does that address 53 million of that 73 million? Just to
that addresses where it's on slide 7, $49 million ad valorem increase, 48.9 million.
Okay. So there is additional, 30 and change that we need to get identification on how we've committed the dollars long-term or are allocating it accordingly to the need of the county's resources and cost of living adjustments, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
we can
great.
do that.
Great. And, we talked a little bit about the flag process. I just want to get clarification because I have an item that I'd love to make sure gets on it. So what does that look like? Are we going to address that at the public hearing or here today?
That would be at the pleasure of the board as to whether to do it today or later, but we can certainly take any things that you would wish to place on a flag list, and it could be acted on today or later.
Okay, because I've had multiple conversations with staff about one item I'd like to see on it and for board discussion and consideration, but I'll wait until we have the rest of the budget conversation before we go there.
Commissioner Overman, is your item a new item to be placed in the budget?
It is.
It is.
It's not currently in the budget. That is correct. It would be a project that could possibly be eligible for the flag list funding that we've got set aside for that particular process.
And what would that be and how much are you talking about?
It would be for the Metro Health Center that's in Ybor that's being expanded. It's a combination of it's a capital investment on a partnership to expand healthcare offering along a transit line in the center of the county for approximately $500,000.
Okay.
And I'll stop there.
We'll get to the process. We'll debate that process later on.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Commissioner Hagan, Ms. Wise, did you want to say something? I see your hand.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And I was going to mention also too that on slides 7 and 8, some of that information that Commissioner White was asking about is broken down broadly, but for the public hearings that are coming up, we can even be a little bit more specific. But I wanted to just make sure that he was aware that some of that information broadly was presented.
Good, thank you. Commissioner Hagan, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is this the time to discuss potentially a flag or the flagging process?
I see some more hands up, Commissioner Hagan. We'll get to the flagging process after I recognize Commissioner Murman.
All right.
I'll come back to you. Keep your hand up, okay? Commissioner Murman, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just have a quick question because I saw the 73 million. And then on page 9, you have the general fund budget allocations additions. Wasn't that the $73 million list?
That is indeed part of it, as Ms. Wise just pointed out on slides 7 and 8. It presents broadly where those funds are,
Okay.
and on slide 9 is some of the specifics. We would need to expand that slide 9 to cover all of the $73 million. But yes,
Sure.
Commissioner Murman, you're correct.
Okay, so but what you'll do is you'll add numbers next to these items. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I was under the impression we didn't really have a pot of money for flight lists. I could be wrong, but a $1 million increase in revenue with a $3.7 million shortfall in clerk revenue, I think we don't really have a lot of extra revenue. Is that correct, Kevin?
Correct.
Not like previous years. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Murman, that was going to be my point about the flagging process, because we just heard him say that we have a $3 million deficit with the clerk, and we don't have a big pot of money to start talking about adding things into the budget. That's why I asked Commissioner Overman what was she talking about. Be ever mindful, folks. We started talking about, okay, we got an extra $1 million. We're going to go through the flagging process, take $500,000 here and $500,000 there. We still have some problems. We got some budget issues that are problems. So be ever mindful of that. Let me ask, I can't remember, Mr. Brickey or Ms. Wise, we get to this flagging process and members start bringing up issues. Do we vote on those today if we want to put them in the budget or not?
Yeah.
Is that something we normally do? I can't remember.
Right. It could be something that you want us to look into further and that we could bring back to you as well. In previous years, Mr. Chairman, you are correct that the number has been a different number. We are in a different situation today as we have been in prior years financially.
Okay, let's set some let's put some ground rules here. We're getting ready to go to this flagging process. We're going to vote to have staff look at these issues that you all are going to bring up, or not? Are we just going to say let the staff review them and bring them back at another time? What's the process here? We are in uncertain times. I know we're talking about something maybe we haven't done before, but we haven't been in a pandemic before, and we haven't had the budget constraints problems we had before. So I think we need to look at this and set a rule as what we're going to do here now. So what's your thought process on that? Mr. White, you recognize.
Thank you. I would be content to just go through the flagging process today and take a vote. I can tell you the $500,000 item for me is a non-starter. I would be a no vote on that because of our financial situation. I didn't get a chance to hear Commissioner Hagan's request. You know, I think it might be appropriate. Yeah, I know sometimes we may want to appropriate, you know, $10,000 or something, $20,000 towards a small nonprofit or something. You know, I think in some cases those types of requests could be appropriate, but the $500,000 ticket item for me personally would be a non-starter.
Okay, my question is, are we going to vote on those today, up or down, or are we just going to let staff review them and bring them back?
I'd like to do an up or down vote today, and I'd love to hear what the rest of the commissioners think.
Okay, Commissioner Murman, I see your hand up. You have a comment on that?
I do, because we're going to vote on the millage today, and when we vote on this millage, we cannot, if we put in items after today, generally that means you have to take something out unless a whole bunch of new revenue comes in. And I just think, yeah, you have to do it today to see if staff can include it in the budget. And then when we vote on this millage, they have the understanding that if they can't be accommodated, then we just can't do it this year. But I think I don't think we should do flagged items this year. And I do think if we had extra money, it should go into the CIP list because there are many projects that are not getting off the ground this year because of COVID, hurricanes, sales tax revenue, whatever you want to attribute to it. And there's some really needed project in there. South County Greenway Trails, Waterset Sports Park Complex. I mean, I can think of a whole slew of projects that really need funding. So I think like I agree with Commissioner White. If it's a little something for a nonprofit, yeah, let's go for it. But, but I just don't think we can do $500,000 items this year.
Okay, this is where we are. We're going to hear the items that these commissioners have. We're going to take them up. We're going to vote up or down, being ever mindful of where we are budgetary wise. I think that's the process we need to take. Is there any objection to that? Any objection? Okay. Commissioner Overman, we're in the flagging process. Bring forth your item now.
Thank you. Well, I don't have actually the Metro project right in front of me under the circumstances because I anticipated that we would be doing flag either after the millage vote or at one of the workshops. But that being said, we do have the Metro Health Center that's located in the middle of the city of Tampa, close to other social services. It provides health care and free health care. Can be a potential partnership with our current health department as a resource on a transit line that serves our lower income individuals and those that don't have access to full access to county health programs. There is a reconstruction project that's going on in that area to expand their capacity right along a heart route just south of I-4 on Nebraska Avenue. It's close to a lot of our other services. And in order to assist in their construction project, an expansion project, they had asked for funding in the area of $500,000. At this point, if it's clear the board is concerned about the level of funding, I'm sure if once everyone is advised on the level of the project, if you've not seen it before, we could negotiate a smaller amount because right now they are moving forward with the construction and they do need assistance in completing it and making it available to our citizens as soon as possible. I'll stop there.
So what's your motion? Are you going to make a motion or not?
I'll make a motion that we consider up to $500,000 funding for this particular project.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Is there a second? Motion dies for lack of a second.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hagan, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I don't know if what I'm going to suggest today is technically a flag or not. It's not a new item. I'm not requesting a certain appropriation that's going to compete with any other considerations, but a priority of mine, and I believe other commissioners as well, involves road resurfacing, particularly neighborhood resurfacing. I know over the last several years, we have increased the percentage of resurfacing dollars for neighborhoods, but this area is still extremely underfunded. And I simply want staff to take another look at this area and see what, if anything, can be done to address this. I'm not sure if the funding source would be deferred projects, bond proceeds, surtax dollars that become available at some point, or simply reprioritization. But I would like staff just to take a look at it, and in doing so, also consider if it makes sense to create a R3M program for neighborhood resurfacing. We have a comparable program in water and solid waste for preserving our assets. The county has a robust and successful pothole patching program, but this is very expensive and it's not cost effective. A program such as R3M would work to preserve our existing network, protect our investment, and promote safety. So it's just an idea. I personally do not care what the vehicle is or funding source, but I do know we need to address the issue. And neighborhood resurfacing is extremely well received by our residents. It's something that we can all see and feel our tax dollars at work. So again, I don't think this is technically a flag, unless the board thinks it is, but I just want staff to take a look at it. And it doesn't necessarily have to come from the $1 million. Again, it could be bond proceeds, it could be surtax dollars, it could be reprioritization, deferred projects, but just want staff to take a look at it. And if we can discuss it sometime in the future, that's all I'm asking.
Well, Commissioner Hagan, we set a rule for we bring it forth as motion, so I would like you to put that in the form of a motion, if you don't mind.
If staff can take a look at if there's any type of program or funding source above and beyond the additional $1 million that's available for this year's budget, that the board can consider to increase our neighborhood resurfacing.
I'll second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Hagan, second by Commissioner Murman. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Kemp, you recognized.
Thank you. I'd just like a clarification. You said above and beyond the 1 million. So do you mean the 1 million plus more? To take the whole 1 million for this plus more?
I'm not looking at this $1 million. I'm not talking about that.
That's what I wanted to have clarification.
I'm talking about other dollars that could become available. I'm using as an example, the surtax dollars. We don't know what the Supreme Court's going to say. That's a funding source. It could be a future bond proceed. I don't know, but I'm not talking about the $1 million. That's why it's not competing with Commissioner Overman or any other project that may come up. I'm talking about dollars that would be above and beyond that.
Thank you. I just want a clarification on whether this was a flagged item or not. So it's not a flagged item. And I think it's a very good idea for us to.
I don't think it is a flagged item, but this is the time to bring it up.
It may not be. We may not see it as a flag item, but we agreed that we'll make motions on those. So we're just following procedure. Go ahead, Commissioner Kemp. I'm sorry.
I just like to say that I think for us to start to emphasize and direct our resources to asset protection, repaving, protecting what we have first just makes sense as a county policy. So in the future, bringing forth a program that prioritized what we already have, I think would be very important.
Okay. Commissioner Murman, you recognize.
Oh, I totally agree that this is a priority in our neighborhoods, and I fully support this. I supported it last year when Commissioner Hagan brought this up, and we have revenue we could allocate. I think we allocated, what, $5 or $6 million to road resurfacing. And I got to tell you, that is something that made constituents very happy. So I'm very happy with the motion and definitely think we should move forward with doing something.
Commissioner Overman, you recognize.
Thank you. So what I'm trying to clarify in what Commissioner Hagan has asked for. On slide 7, we've allocated an additional $5 million towards transportation dollars, which sidewalks, I would assume, fall under that category. Would prioritizing your project fall under that category, or would we need to itemize it out separately from our transportation or capital improvement budget?
I would rely on staff's direction on that. I'm not looking to necessarily reprioritize one project over another. Certainly that could possibly make sense if there's a deferred project or one that never materializes, but I'm not suggesting that's the route we should go. But again, I would rely on staff to determine what the best avenue or vehicle is, if that makes sense. And it might not be included this year. I mean, I don't know. I just wanted to look at it. It might make sense for this budget. It may be after this year's budget. I don't know. I just wanted to look at it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Hagan, you have something else? Your hand's up. Okay,
Sorry.
we have a motion by, it's okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Hagan, second by Commissioner Murman. Seeing no further discussion, please call the roll on the motion.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp, Commissioner Kemp,
Yes.
Murman,
Yes.
Commissioner Murman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other items to come before us today concerning the flagging process? Any others? Commissioner Murman, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, so I like the project that Commissioner Overman was doing, but not for $500,000. I think, Commissioner Miller, you'll remember back in the legislature, you kind of take what you can get out of the budget. I think if she could reduce her request down to $50,000, I think that would be, I mean, at least you would have something. And then next year, as things improve, which we hope they will, we can get back more on track. So that's my only suggestion there. And if you wanted to make, oh yeah, you can't make the same motion. Could you make the same motion again? I don't think so.
What can happen is someone can make a motion to reconsider by the motion by which reconsider the motion. We bring it back up, and then she can change the motion with the amount, which would be a new motion. We can do
Right.
that.
Okay, so I think that's why I'll just make a motion to reconsider the previous motion that we voted down on the Metro Health Clinic and bring that back for a new vote on a $50,000 project.
We're just talking about the reconsideration now. There's a motion by Commissioner Murman, second by Commissioner Kemp. Yeah. Is there any discussion on reconsideration?
Yes.
Who is that?
Commissioner Kemp.
Yes, Commissioner. We talking about the reconsideration now.
I understand. I'm seconding it, but she did say in there specifically 50,000. I just wanted a motion for reconsideration.
I asked her to take that out.
Yeah.
So the
Okay, I'm
50,000
sorry.
not in there.
I missed that. Excuse me.
We're just talking about reconsideration. Is there any further discussion on the reconsideration of the motion? Seeing none, please call the roll on reconsideration motion that failed.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Murman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
We're back on the motion. At this point, Commissioner Kemp, Commissioner Overman, you want to
Redo your motion.
redo your motion now?
I would love to redo my motion. Again, this is a phased project. There's significant dollars invested in it already. Obviously, anything would help. And certainly, I'd rather go for 250. But if 50 is what gets
Don't
passed,
get greedy now. Don't get greedy now.
I'm just, I'm always going to ask for as much as I can because I truly believe that this is public service for the underserved that will help our healthcare access for so many of our citizens. That it's a worthwhile project, and I do believe in it. But if I can get 50 passed, I'm going to run with the 50. So I'll move that we allocate from the available flag funds that we find somehow the $50,000. I was going to ask for 50 million. Yeah,
Second.
$50,000 towards this project.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Overman, second by Commissioner Murman. Is there further discussion on the motion? Is there further discussion on the motion?
Yes.
Seeing none. Pardon?
Commissioner Kemp.
Yes, you recognize.
And Hagan.
I'd just like to say that I would prefer 100,000. This is a healthcare facility in these times. I also wondered if the county administrator could look into, because they exist now in a smaller way, and I'm wondering if they're doing some types of coronavirus related services. I can imagine that they would be. And I'm wondering too about CARES funding in this regards for what they're doing now. So, I would just think, because of the times, and because it is healthcare related, I would have preferred 100,000 and could see that being a reasonable ask.
Okay. Anyone else discuss the motion?
Hagan.
Commissioner Hagan, recognized.
Thank you. Yeah, just real quick. Candidly, I don't know if I support this project or not. I mean, I don't know anything about it. I would have preferred if we could have just asked staff to bring back more information. I mean, I may ultimately support $500,000. I'm going to support the 50, but I just wish that had more information, more time to look at it, know a little bit more about the project, and then I'd be in a position to potentially, support 250 or 500. But I just can't. I'll support 50 today, and I'd like to be able to do more, but until I see or get more information, I can't do that.
Is there any other discussion on the motion? Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, please call the roll on the motion.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Murman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Are there any other items to be brought forth? Commissioner Smith, you recognize.
Thank you. And I don't know. Well, here's the thing. If you go to the government agencies on page 389 of our recommended budget, you'll find HART, and you'll find that in 2018, we gave them 2.3 million. 2019, we gave them 2.3 million to help them through the Mission Max belt tightening and cuts that they had to do. And last year, you may remember, we did not give them the same amount, but we promised, well, we discussed, I'll put it that way. We discussed that we would give them money if the sales tax did not materialize. We assumed that the sales tax was going to come through and they would, have that funding source. They haven't. Those of us who are on the HART board know that they have suffered greatly in their budget and with COVID, and yet they are a lifeblood system of our county, taking people, hundreds of people, to their kidney dialysis appointments every week, taking people to their jobs every week who are essential workers. And yet in this budget, we have now, the last year we did find 650,000 for them in 20, but for 21, we've got them at 0. And so, I'm thinking two things. I'm thinking, one, in the spirit of the motion we just passed, a small amount to keep that line item there instead of being zeroed out completely, say a $50,000 line item here to keep them from being zeroed out in our budget completely, while county staff looks into this a little bit further and sees if there's any way that we can support our transit agency at a little bit higher level. Now, and let me just say that because of the trouble that HART's budget is in right now, we are facing cuts to services throughout the county, cuts to services to Brandon, to South County, cuts that get Sun City Center, cutting the route that gets Sun City Center patrons to Brandon and Tampa for shopping and medical appointments. We're cutting essential routes throughout the county, town and country, South Tampa. So it impacts all of our districts, all of our constituents. And so my motion would be for a $50,000 line item today, that to ask staff to before the next hearing to see if there's any way that can be increased at all.
I'll second that.
Whoa. Who's second?
Overman and Kemp.
Commissioner Kemp also.
Mr. Overman, Commissioner Kemp. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? Let me ask you a question, Commissioner Smith. Did HART not get funding from the federal government either through the CARES Act or other funding this year?
They did get CARES Act. They've been, wounded deeply, as everybody knows, by COVID.
Did they get some other dollars above and beyond the CARES Act?
No.
Are you sure?
You tell me.
No, I'm just asking you a question. Are you sure?
Their budget is strapped and they're cutting services. In front of me, I don't have those figures.
Okay, just ask. Okay. Any other further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion on the motion? We have a motion by Commissioner Smith.
Oh, wait, I have my hand up.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Understand, I'm looking at the hands only for coming back to flagged items. So Commissioner Murman, you recognize, followed by Commissioner White.
I guess I'm just going to piggyback on your question to Commissioner Smith. How much CARES Act money did they get? Didn't they get like $100 and some million?
No. It was like 40 something, but that money is needed to address the impacts of COVID on the service. That's what it's for. That's all it can be used for,
Right.
as you know.
Right. I don't think $50,000 is going to put a dent in anything. We've had many discussions about funding for HART over the years during the budget process. And I'm probably going to be consistent today and not support this, but I'll wait and see how the conversation goes.
Commissioner Miller, if I
Commissioner
could.
White, hold on. Commissioner White, you recognize.
Okay, on my end, it's showing that I had put my hand down. I'd like to come in about a separate flagged item when we're finished
Okay.
with this one.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Smith, you recognize.
Yes, if I could clarify, I've got the figures in front of me, and we have no additional federal funding beyond the CARES Act funding. The CARES Act funding was 39.9. I said 40, it's 39.9 million, and that is needed to address the impacts of COVID.
Okay, so any other discussion on the motion? Any
I have
other
my hand
discussion?
raised, Commissioner.
Okay, now understand, I just said the hand raising is for flagged items if you're going to talk
Oh, I'm
about the
sorry.
motion.
Yes.
Commissioner Altman, you recognize.
Thank you, sir. And I think it's important to recognize the perspective of without the care, if HART had not gotten the CARES dollars, they would be in approximately a $30 million shortfall situation. Approximately. I'm not going to get into the, point whatevers, but they're looking at significant deficits long-term, just like we are. But our policy towards making sure that we're investing in infrastructure for all of our citizens is increasingly being challenged when our most vulnerable aren't able to get around to take care of themselves. So I'm going to support the motion because I believe it's important for us to really take a stand to make sure that we're investing in our infrastructure, which includes transit, in a way that helps keep some stability in their budget to some degree. $50 million, $50,000 is not going to do much, especially when you're in a 30-something million dollar deficit. But it is going to give them dollars that they can continue to try and find ways to find the funding they need to do what they need to do to avoid cutting services. We have invested significant dollars in affordable housing projects that are in place where routes have been cut, where homeless folks are being transitioned towards home secure, and they no longer have bus service because they're unable to sustain that route. And they are moving into our communities that we've invested in, built, and are due to open up in January with the bus service due to Mission Max cuts and subsequent cuts unrelated to COVID. So I do believe that it's important to keep a stake in the ground towards our investment for those that are transit dependent, especially those that need dialysis and other resources because they're transportation disadvantaged. So I will support the motion, and I'll stop there.
Is there any other discussion on the motion? Any other discussion on the motion?
Commissioner Kemp.
Mr. Kemp, you recognize.
Yes, I know 50,000 won't do much, but we are still in that same status at heart that we've been for decades now. And we are the most underfunded transit system in the nation of any urban area of this size, and not by a little bit, but by crisis levels. That has remained. It has been with us for decades, and anything we can do to even make a small commitment on that, because it lifts and brings so many, it's so important, a lifeline to so many people, that I'm pleased to do any part that I can. Thank you.
Any other discussion on the motion? Any other discussion on the motion? I'm going to support this 50,000. I can't guarantee that if the staff comes back with anything above and beyond the 50,000, I will support it. Let me say this. When I first became chairman of HART, I brought forth the idea of raising the millage, that HART itself without a dedicated funding source. I was looked at like I had two heads. I think now is the time for HART itself, the board of HART, to ante up and bite the bullet and bring forth itself a dedicated funding source from the board of HART itself. It is not the county's responsibility to continue to fund HART as a dedicated funding source. HART board has to make that commitment themselves to look at finding a dedicated funding source, if that be the millage increase. So I'm just putting that out there on the table, because the mere fact is that I brought that up before. The board has changed since that time. I think the board needs to take that HART board needs to take that responsibility and bring it forth itself to find itself a dedicated funding source. We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Oldham and Commissioner Kemp. Please call the roll.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Murman,
Yes.
Operman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Mr. White, you recognize.
Thank you. I see Scott Trebetoski on the call. So I have a question for him and possibly Mr. Fessler or Mr. Brickey as well. I would just like to ask Mr. Trebetoski, were we ever able to secure any funding for the community pet project that I was working with?
Yes, we got them $5,000.
Fantastic. Well, then I am all set, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioner Murman, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have one small request. I wasn't going to bring it forward. I know. There is nothing too small. It's $35,000. It's for a van for the Center for Women. Their van broke down that they provide ship services. That's services to elderly people that are homebound. And so I'll make a motion to, if we can do $35,000 for the Center for Women for a new van.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Murman, second by Commissioner White, for $35,000 for a van for the Center of Women. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Miller?
Yes.
Miller? Yes.
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Murman?
Yes.
Overman?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
So any other flagged item request? Any other flag item request? Seeing none, we're now moving to the setting the trim millage rates. I'm going to pass the gavel to Commissioner Overman, and I move we set the following proposed operating and debt service millage for the purpose of the trim notice and set the date, time, and place of the first public hearing on the Hillsborough County fiscal year 2021 budget. Countywide millage operating general revenue fund 5.7309 mils. Debt service environmentally sensitive lands 0.0604 mils. A total countywide millage of 5.7913 mils. Non-countywide millage operating general purpose municipal services taxing unit 4.3745 mils. Library services district 0.5583 mils. Debt services, parks, and recreation bonds 0.0259 mils. The proposed percentage change of the aggregate millage rate from the aggregate rollback millage rate as defined by state statute as an increase of 5.13% and is shown on line 27 Department of Revenue Form DR 420. The date, time, and place of the first public hearing on the budget will be Thursday, September 10th, 2020 at 6 p.m. For a place visit hcflgov.net/budget. By approving this motion, the appropriate official is authorized to execute the necessary Department of Revenue forms and take all action required so that the method by which the first public hearing will be conducted is properly noticed. That's the motion.
Thank
Second.
you. Do we have a motion by Commissioner Miller, a second by Commissioner Murman? Any discussion? Hearing none, please take the roll of the vote.
Miller?
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Murman?
Yes.
Overman?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Ms. Wise, is there anything further to come before us this morning?
Thank you, Chairman Miller. There's nothing else before you this morning.
Okay, members, is there anything else we need to discuss?
I do.
Hearing none.
I just have. No, I do.
Commissioner Murman, we're done with the flagging process.
Not flagging. I just wanted to ask if Kevin Tommen can come back to us at one of the at our next meeting we have, if we do have a workshop. I'd like to know how we're going to get through the CIP list going forward. I'm really concerned that a lot of projects will not get off the ground, and I guess I'd like to see what the long-term plan is. That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Include that.
Okay. Anything further? Anything else? Anything else?
Commissioner
Okay.
Miller, are we going to have those two workshop alternative dates? Are we going to do that or not?
Is there a need for them?
The only thing I would ask is if you're going to have them, if you could give us some indication of your topics.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have
Otherwise,
any,
we don't want to waste your
we don't have
time.
any topics. Why do we need to meet?
That's why I'm asking the question. If Commissioner Murman's item can be addressed during the regular board meeting, then it doesn't sound as though there's interest. That's why I was asking. So if we have no need and we can cover it by the board meeting on August 5th prior to our budget hearing, public hearing, that sounds fine with me. I just wanted to
Well,
check with everybody.
I think that Mr. Brickey or Ms. Wise, can that be brought forth at a county commission meeting on August the 5th?
Perhaps not in August 5th, perhaps at a date thereafter, I think
Okay.
would be more appropriate.
August 20th, board meeting.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So there is no need for us to have those budget workshops on August the 12th and August the 27th. Am I right? Am I right? Okay, hearing that, we're not going to have those budget workshops. They're off the calendar, okay? Anything further to come before us today? Anything further? Seeing none, stay safe. We're adjourned.
Take care, everybody.